about that. I didn't know that was an option.
Well, you look really pretty. Good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's crazy because sometimes I feel like the podcast is we got a podcast, but then when I'm doing it, I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it'd be nice just to miss a week. And then when I miss a week, I hate that we did.
I know.
So we missed you guys, and I missed it. So.
And it was weird, too, because technically we were back. Like, normally we podcast on Tuesdays, but that's the day we flew back. And then if we fall behind schedule, there's not enough time to, like, edit it and get it out as usual. So it did feel really weird to not have an episode out.
I need more time, and I don't have enough time to edit. And, it's a whole thing. We would have had one. You know what? Let's just blame it on Rick. We would have done one, but Rick just doesn't want to do it, doesn't care about us, doesn't love us. I think everybody knows that I'm full of shit. No, we are so happy to be back, and we did take time off of the podcast, just because we were on the other side of the world.
Yeah, we were on your first ever European tour.
I don't want to talk too much about it.
Your first ever European tour. You don't want to talk too much about it?
I do want to talk about it. I just don't want to
know about it. We shared on our social media, and people are like, I can't wait to hear you talk about it on the podcast.
I tried to share as much as I could.
Yeah.
I felt like I was oversharing.
Yes. Yeah.
But I felt like I wanted to share with everybody, and it was definitely a beautiful thing for us, for my career, for everything.
I appreciate the people who sent messages that were like, thank you so much for sharing. I'm having so much fun following along. I'm living my European trip through vicariously through you. So it was good. Well, first, I appreciated that because that made me feel better about sharing so much.
First of all, I'm very proud of our kids.
Yeah.
They really did an amazing job. I was very concerned that the kids were going to be the factor in the, slowing us down or us having to get a curveball or, one of the kids gets sick or they just can't keep up or they're not going to stay awake I was waiting for something.
Yes.
To happen.
Me too. Everybody stayed healthy, which is kind of like a miracle that everybody stayed healthy. But also that was probably my biggest surprise of the trip too, is that the children handled the travel as well as
this was no joke. I mean, this was like, get there, go see something, connect, get to Oslo, wake up, show, wake up, go to the airport, fly to the next country.
Yeah.
Country, not next city, next country.
Yeah.
Wake up, it was boom.
I think in a 10-day period, right? Because it was a 10-day trip.
6 countries.
So you did 6 countries, yes.
Oh,
6 cities, 6 countries. No. But I think there were only 2 days for the kids and I that we didn't see an airport.
Yes. It was wild, and I was very concerned that it was going to be a fucking disaster in the family dynamic.
You would pull it together on stage, but
I thought it was going to be a shit show.
Total shit show. The rest of us.
I thought Delilah would be crying, or Garrett would get sick, or you're just expecting something to go down. But for the most part, 90%, I had a day where I was tired and frustrated, and the kids were just not cooperating. But it wasn't a bad day. I didn't lose it. I did give Renae the eye, like, can you help me? And Renae was like, what? I'm having my European tour.
No.
But it was definitely a trip to remember. I had not felt the feeling of nervousness in a very long time in my career. But I was nervous. I was anxious. I normally do not listen to the opening act because I book very funny people, so I don't worry about it, and I'm like, they'll do their job, and then I walk on. I was intently like, oh crap, I hope Bryce gets laughs.
Yeah.
Like,
how are they going to respond to it?
How are they going to respond? And the first Oslo, amazing. Went great. We met Einstein there. Einstein was the...
Boy, you're adding an extra N into his name. It's Oystein.
Oystein. He was our rep that was going to tour with us for the promoter. Great guy, super sweet dude. He was...
It was supposed to be Shandy. You know that, right? It was supposed to be Shandy.
Yeah.
But he had to go put out another fire. So Oystein tagged along with us.
But it was funny because, Oystein was like, Mr. Trevino, what do you need? And what do you need? And what do you need? And I'm like, dude, we're good. Are you sure? And what do you need? And I'm like,
and then
dude,
you would just like say something in passing and he'd be like, oh, do you want that now? Do you mean like now? And you'd be like, no, dude, I just meant like, when we pass by a convenience store.
But I was quite flattered because, Oystein gave me so many great compliments. So I will share the compliments with you.
I was going to say, I don't think I heard him. What did he say?
In Oslo, he said, in all the tours he's done, he's never heard the audience laugh that loud and that hard.
Yeah.
Ever. He goes, several times I thought, oh crap, he's finishing. Because he goes,
it was such big.
Yeah, he goes, they were laughing and applauding like it was over. Like that's usually with the energy they give at the end. Right? Rick, audiences, very polite.
Yeah, I
Very
remember
polite.
I can't remember if it was the first or the second show. I think it was after that first show. You were so jazzed to talk to me about the audience response and how it was just so proper and interesting, but like they were totally listening and engaged the whole time, and you felt that, but also that they had applauding you doing a good job.
Yeah, they had an appreciation, Rick, for if I did a clever tag, or if I did a really clever joke, or if I came back and did a callback, it was those moments, Rick, where they would go, "Oh, hey, buddy, that was really clever what you did there.
We saw what you did there. Good job.
We saw what you did, and that was
smart.
awesome,
Yeah.
right? Very polite, very disciplined. The audience, never a heckle. Never a
that's true. Never a heckle.
Never a cell phone out. Very respectful of the artist, of the stage, of the theater. Which we do not always get here.
Yeah.
Right. There was just an appreciation for the art that they have in a different way. Americans appreciate the art, but they laugh the whole time. They're louder. They're more aggressive. There's a lot of
more rambunctious.
Right? More rambunctious.
Yeah.
There, it's very like we're in the theater. We're now sitting in the theater, and we should act like theater folks. At the end, they would clap together.
In unison, yes.
In unison,
it was the weirdest thing to hear
clap,
backstage. It was
together.
so weird to hear that backstage. Yeah.
It really was the first show in Oslo was kind of my figuring out what things that they relate to, what things they don't relate to. Baseball stories, they don't relate to at all. So there's an entire bit where I say, I coach baseball, travel ball, don't do that, right? And I get into I take a little side note to talk about travel ball, if you will, right? And they had no clue.
Yeah.
So I cut that out completely. So then I would just say, in my schedule, I coach baseball, also the coach, then I move on.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the left turn and telling the little story about it, I just move on. They do not know what UTVs or Polarises are.
Yeah.
Over there, so
when you talked about flipping it,
when I talk about flipping the Polaris and the over Thanksgiving weekend, they figure it out that something happened, right?
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is skipping the, we're in the back, we're having drinks. Somehow my brother-in-law cut his head open. I did not no longer say how it happened.
Yeah.
Right. So there was little things that I had to adjust as we went on.
That was a hard one because that's not one that I would have expected that they wouldn't know. I don't know.
I thought it was odd because there's a lot of countryside out there.
Well, that's what I thought too. Don't they have some
farming and
utility vehicle version of that? A snowmobile?
Something.
What is it?
I mean, I don't know. So I think, Rick, that was one of the big learning curves was what references and things from America do they get and don't get. Now, of course, the husband and wife stuff they completely get, but the problem is part of the husband and wife story in the beginning is me saying, I'm hard to be married to. I can be a giant child. Now, here's the story of my wife putting up with me as a giant child. Now, let me tell you what it's like to live with her, right? So I still had to keep that joke in and make it work without the Polaris reference.
Yeah.
Or the UTV reference.
Yeah.
But did Oslo, woke up. I think we had some time. Did we go to the museum there? The Fram?
Yes.
Went to the Fram.
We took a ferry to a museum. It was really cute. Took a ferry
to the museum. Garrett and Delilah loved it. We got to walk on a ship that was responsible for mapping the North and South Pole.
Yeah. Yeah, it
really
was a museum all about exploration of the North Pole. And like they had so many photographs. It was just so well documented, the whole thing.
Because I don't want to just talk about our experiences. I want to talk about like people that have not been to Europe, the things that interested me.
Uh-huh.
Everything was so clean.
Yeah.
Like Oslo was clean.
Yeah. The water's clean.
There's not a cigarette butt on the floor.
You're sitting at the harbor, and I feel like in a lot of places when you go to the harbor, there's like gunk gathered up against the water's edge. I didn't see all that gunk.
So clean. So the taxis, every car we got in was spotless and clean and smelt good. And in the States, nowadays you get in an Uber and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
This is an Uber. It's disgusting. There's gross mats on the floor. There, everything was so clean and so nice. Well, everybody, I didn't, in Oslo, I didn't see one homeless person.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if we were just,
I'm sure they have them.
Someone booked, Eddie kind of tour managed for us and booked our hotels and things like that. So I'm sure he made sure that we were in nicer, cleaner places.
I did say there wasn't a cigarette butt on the ground. And the reason I say that is because that's the other thing I noticed. They smoke cigarettes over there like we drink water. Everybody smokes. Everywhere we went was the stench of cigarette.
I did not notice the smoke as much as you did or people smoking as much as you did. The only time I really noticed it and the kids noticed it. And it was like, yes, it was so overwhelming. Rick, they have glass like closets and you will have, they were small.
10 people in a probably
smaller than this 8x10 rug that we're on.
Yes. This little, and what's the point? There's no freaking ceiling on it. So all this fucking cigarette smoke.
I didn't realize there wasn't a ceiling on it.
No, all the cigarette smoke's just pouring out of it. And it's weird because you're not used to smelling that here anymore.
They're all smoking in a glass cubicle and you're like, oh my gosh.
The cigarette smokers, that was crazy to me. The biggest difference, and I will always, always, always love the United States of America. It is sad what we're eating here in America. The food there was 20 times better. Just the quality.
I was going to say, it's not
the
like...
taste, everywhere we ate was phenomenally delicious. It was unbelievable.
But it wasn't like, oh, we're eating at the best restaurant in the city and this is a master chef. It wasn't.
No.
I don't want people to think it was that. It was the quality of the ingredients.
Yes. I would eat bread there. We ate like pigs.
I had a croissant every morning with my breakfast. It was so good.
Every morning we woke up, we ate big, we ate lunch big, we ate dinner big because we wanted to taste the foods and we wanted to drink wine at night and we wanted to enjoy going out. I did not gain weight.
Neither did I. I stayed the same. And we didn't exercise the whole time. I mean, we walked through the airport and carried our suitcases in our bags. That was our exercise every day.
But the amount of food that I eat here to maintain my weight now and lose weight is minuscule compared to the way I ate in Europe. I didn't lose or gain a pound.
Yeah.
And I didn't do jujitsu, and I wasn't doing my push-ups, and I wasn't exercising like I do here.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in the yard working. I was literally a tourist eating 3 aggressive meals and not paying attention. Here I pay attention. Here I'm like, well, I don't want to have bread in the morning, or, if I'm going to have bread in the morning, I'm not going to eat tonight. Like I'm always very like conscious now. There, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. They bring out bread, I'm going to eat it. We just went for it. I did not gain 1 pound.
Where I tasted the difference was the bread, right? The fresh bread. And Oslo, actually, you show up and they have like a variety of breads at the breakfast buffet, and you slice it fresh from like the actual bread loaf to make your toast. But the yogurt, that's also where I really noticed it. Their yogurt tastes so much different than our yogurt here.
Their pastas, their salads, their steaks, it was...
Pork rinds. We had the most amazing pork rinds ever, and I don't even like pork rinds.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And then I would offend people when I would tip.
Oh.
That was the other thing I noticed.
I don't know that you would offend them, but
I
it's just not.
I
It's
offended
a different.
A few people.
Yeah.
Yep. So one of the nights I think it was Oslo. No, it was Stockholm.
Uh-huh.
Stockholm, I told Renae, I said, after the show, I'm going to have a drink with the guys. We go to it's called the Queen's Head Pub. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. I wanted to have a drink in a pub, right? Overseas.
Yeah.
In Europe. It's called the Queen's Head Pub. We walk in, and I order a drink, and I order drinks for the guys.
I was going to say, was it Stockholm or was it Copenhagen? It was so fast. It's like the cities start to blur together, especially Stockholm and Copenhagen for some reason.
I go, hey, can I tip? And she goes, ugh, American? You're American? And I go, yeah. I go, I wanted to tip. And she's like, I make plenty of money. I do well. You don't need to tip. I was like, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
So she's like, she got a little friendlier, but she was like, where are you from? I said, I'm from Texas. And she was like, she's like, I hate Americans. And I went to America and I hate them. And I was like, wow,
Whoa.
okay. And I'll never be like, I'm never the type that's like, yeah, shitty Americans.
Right.
What I told her, I go, well, it depends on where you went. I go, and I'm sorry you had that experience. I said, but there's a lot of friendly, great people in America. And America's a great country. And she was like, yeah, well, I only like the Americans like you that travel. I'm like, okay. But Rick, it was really cool to sit in an English pub, right, in Europe. And then Eddie, who, God bless Eddie, and I hope he listens to this. He's one of the best
We've
human
had Eddie
beings
on the
ever.
podcast before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was sick, and Eddie did an episode with you.
He's one of the best humans ever. And he is a avid beer drinker, where, he's like us with whiskeys, and, he wants to try every beer. So because we're in Europe, every different beer he would get, I would tell him, leave a little bit at the end of the bottle so I can taste it. So I got to taste a bunch of beers because I wanted to experience that as well. But and the other thing that was crazy is the airport. When you're flying amongst Europe, it was so easy. We never spent more than 10 minutes in a security line. And if we spent 10 minutes, that was long.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally walk up and they're like, oh, this is the family lane. They're like, this is for families. If you're a family, please come through this lane.
Yeah.
Right. Which I thought was really helpful. I never took my shoes off. When you literally put your bag in the bin, you walk through, you do this, and then you walk through. And that was it.
Yeah, we didn't take out our tablets even, I don't think.
Nope. And I was like, God dang, America, like, I think it's time for us to start taking the chance again.
Yeah.
Like the security lines.
Lots of random screenings, though. I think when we went through, one of us every time was randomly, our bag was put aside. Not because we had anything in there we weren't supposed to, but just...
Now, on the same topic of everything being clean, Amsterdam, not so clean.
Yeah.
Amsterdam, borderline third world country.
Really? Was it that? The kids and I skipped out on Amsterdam, so I don't know. Was it really that dirty? Because I've had friends say they love Amsterdam.
Everywhere. And then, I didn't tell you this, for the men, on the streets, they have like this screen that you get in and you pee in a hole in the ground. On the streets. So you're like, what is that? Why is that dude standing in there? Like, oh, he's peeing. Like just right off the
Public,
street.
in front of everybody. Yep. Just a screen.
So Amsterdam was very, very interesting. So my first question to you is, favorite experience that you had in Europe?
Oh, I don't know. I loved it all. I really, really enjoyed it. The kids did so good, better than I thought they would.
I did better than she thought I would.
You did. I texted him. I was talking with Jen Helton this morning, and I told her, I said, and even Steve was not as grumpy as I thought he was going to be.
But I've been waiting for this. You know who got grumpy? You know who was Grumpy Monkey?
I got a little frustrated. You know what? We haven't talked about it. I was grumpy because I was a little frustrated with you, but I kept it to myself.
Grumpy McGrumpstick over here. And I just looked at her and I go, really? I go, really, dude? I go, you're the grumpy one right now? I go, get it together. I'm trying to get through this shit, give you the happiest experience I can give you. I'm behaving myself, and you're over here, Grumpy McCuntstick over here. Freaking.
It was better as Grumpy McGrumpstick. You don't have to change the grump to
Dude,
cunt.
Rick, I mean, I just looked at her and I'm like, really? You're going to be the dick?
I got a little frustrated with you, and now I can't even remember what. So I guess it was a valuable life lesson.
Just some spoiled brat shit.
To sometimes just zip it.
Yep, spoiled brat
shit.
Zip
it for the sake of everyone. Sometimes it's not worth it.
I thought seeing the castle, some of the castles was impressive. My favorite part was seeing the Vasa.
Yeah,
museum.
You loved that museum. I wasn't as into that one as you were, but you loved it.
Well, I like history, and it's pretty mind blowing when you see this ship that was built by hand by humans in the 16th century.
Yeah.
When you think, Christopher Columbus, right? Mm-hmm. I remember Corpus Christi had the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, which were the replicas of what Christopher Columbus sailed on.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you go, okay, well, they're pretty rudimentary, right? And I get it, wooden ships. And, Rick, this thing, the carvings on it and the effort that was... And, I'm on the 6th floor of this museum because they've taken this thing and they've put it inside of this museum. And they built the whole museum around it, so it's inside. I'm on the 6th floor. 6th floor, Rick. And I am still not at the deck of this boat. Built in the 1600s. The carvings on it, it's just mind-blowing. And then to find out that this was Norway's biggest failure, basically.
Yeah.
Because the king wanted to show the world that he was going to have the most powerful fighting ship. Built it, maiden voyage, it sinks.
Before it even leaves the harbor.
But they knew it was going to sink. And they knew it wasn't working. And but they were so afraid to tell the king that they took it out anyway. And it sunk in the late 40s, early 50s. They're going to build a bridge and they find it.
Yeah.
Dig it up, literally put it all back together.
Took them 20, 30 years to restore it.
Yep. Completely restored, exactly the way it was. And it was just mind-blowingly. And then Renee's like, when are we leaving? What are we doing?
No, Delilah was getting antsy. She looked at the skeleton remains
Blame
that
it
they
on
found.
Delilah.
And then I said I got to take this girl to a children's museum for a little bit. So you and Garrett finished up at the Vasa, but it was so cool.
Was that where was that? That was in Stockholm?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Or
Wasn't that Copenhagen? That was Copenhagen. And
no, I don't know if that was Copenhagen.
they have yes, because it's islands. There are several islands off the coast, and there's one that specifically has multiple museums. So in one day,
Stockholm.
It was Stockholm.
Sweden.
Oh, so in one day we did 3 museums.
Which was really cool. I mean, and again,
and beautiful, just like wandered from one to the next.
It feels like you're on a movie set out there. Rick, have you gone to Europe?
I have not. Well, France.
It feels like you're on a movie set. Like it all feels kind of unreal.
Yeah.
You know, because everything's so old and the everything is just like a movie. I mean, you're like, oh my God, it's like a movie out here.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
London was pretty awesome to end our trip there. I didn't get to see as much of London as you did.
Yes, because the kids and I went a day early. You were so exhausted by the time you got to London. And the show was earlier that day too. And you flew in from Amsterdam, so you didn't really get to see much of London.
And the other thing nobody talks about, and I didn't know this, it didn't get dark until 11 p.m. in Oslo.
That was a trip.
And the sun came up at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
So London, it was like 10 p.m. when it got dark. So I'm walking out of my show.
And it's still daylight. We're like, what are we doing? Where are we going? I think people were surprised to see like the kids at the show so late, but that was part of it. Like the sun was up, so it was like, well, we're all awake. Why wouldn't we go to the show, you know?
And my theater that I was in was right in Chinatown, so we're like, well, let's all have dinner.
Yeah.
So we all walked into the
back alley of the theater.
Back alley of the theater had a Chinese restaurant where the old Chinese lady was there making homemade dumplings in front of your face.
In the window. Yeah.
And we ate there and oh, that's the other thing, Rick. The wine. Every glass of wine you get over there, the house wine is French or Italian
yeah.
And you're just, so one of the bottles.
We're drinking a lot of French wine.
Yeah, one of the bottles, I was like, hey, we'll take this bottle or whatever. It was like, I want to say it was like $180 maybe, and it was like their fine wine or whatever.
In their currency or ours?
In their currency.
Yeah.
I look it up on the internet to see what it would cost in the States. In the States, retail, not in a restaurant, $400.
Wow.
And the wine was delicious. The food was delicious.
Yeah.
Where was it that I was like, oh, this food kind of bummed me out? Because it all had been amazing. Was it London?
No, London, I think the only meal that we all had together was...
it was London because I had lunch at our hotel.
Oh, at a Guy Ramsey.
Or whatever his name is.
No, what is it? Not Guy Ramsey. I just mixed him up. Gordon Ramsay. I mixed up Guy Fieri and Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. She married him. But I mean, other than that, I had a great experience. I'm happy I went. Here's the sad part. I don't need Europe. I'm glad I went.
Oh, I want to go back. I know you're like, okay, we'll skip a year and then maybe we'll go back and do it again. It was such a fast, crash course on all of them. I'm so grateful for it. But I was like, God, I would love to go back to London one more day because there was so much to see. And
we sold out most of the shows, and that's what makes me most proud. To be able to come back to the States and do a big fuck you to Hollywood, because Hollywood has this misconception that I'm a Mexican comedian or that I only sell tickets in Texas and the Southwest.
Yeah.
So to go all the way across the world, sell places out, to be able to come back and go, fuck you, right? Yeah. Stop pigeonholing me. Stop making me this specific thing. Right?
Yeah.
So to be able to tell that story, I'm very proud.
They loved you.
And I love them.
In every city, they were so excited.
And I'm happy to go.
You.
I'm happy to go back for that purpose. To perform, to bring my comedy to them in person. I'm happy to do that. But if you were to say, do you want to just go spend 2 weeks in Europe to just go? I don't need it. Does that make sense, Rick?
But you're that way about every place, whether it's Europe or whatever. Every trip we take is about you working.
But I'm very content in my backyard. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
I also think it's not fair for somebody to say, well, I hate the Americans that don't travel. Some people don't want to travel. That doesn't make them a bad person. I am perfectly super content and super happy right here in my backyard.
Yeah.
I don't have to go anywhere. And I love that about my kids, where I tell my kids, I'm like, and Delilah too, yesterday we're in the pool, just me and my family, Renae included, which I was proud of her for actually joining us. We're in our pool and we're just having family time. And I go, I don't need Europe. And Delilah goes, all you need is your family, right, Daddy?
Yeah.
And I said, that's all I need, baby.
It was so sweet.
All I need is my family
sweet.
and my backyard. There's no desire inside of me to go, God, the next month I have off, I want to go to Europe. Like I don't.
Which I have, babe. I'm the opposite, and so I think that like, thank God you have a job that encourages you and makes you travel for a living, because I do want to see different places. I do want to experience places I've never been before. Like to me, it's like you only get one life. I want to see it.
But you know what else helps me is I have a very vivid imagination.
Yeah.
I can really comprehend what Europe's like. And once I've seen it, I'm like, oh, I can go back into my brain and go, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
But
Rick,
I think, where do you lie on this debate here? Are you I got to get out, I got to see the world?
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I think about the couples that like, where they feel very differently. I know there are couples where the husband like does not want to leave the house. Like that is his thing. And eventually when they get older and the kids are out of the house and they're retired, it becomes an issue in the marriage because they're in the last phase of their life. And she's like, I want to see things, like my life is really going to end one day. And I don't want to only
Why
be
is
in
it
the
always
four walls
him?
of this
Maybe
house.
he wants to see
I'm just
things.
saying the couples that I know, it is usually the male who doesn't want to leave the house, and it ends up becoming a thing in their marriage.
But it shouldn't be. Why? What? I don't understand what's wrong about a man that says I'm very content.
No,
I'm very happy.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
I'm not sad at home.
I'm
not sitting here going, oh, I hate my life,
it
and I'm
can
at
become
home.
an
I'm very
issue
happy
in a
here.
marriage when they don't feel the same way about it.
Is this a precursor? Are you trying to warn me?
No, that's what. Well, no, but that's why I said thank God you have a job that encourages you to travel, because then it would be either you do you allow me to and encourage me to go out and explore, because you know that's something important to me.
I already told you. I said, look, if you want to go next year as a girls trip, for 10 days and be single and not have a wife, not have kids and a husband.
No.
You go.
But do you see the condescending undertone in that? Going and
exploring
does not mean like living a single life. You can still very much be married to your partner.
Renae would much rather have a single life. Believe me.
That's not true.
You never let Rick answer. Where do you lie on that, Rick?
I hate traveling, but it became the first time I traveled was for work when I went to India, and it was the single-handedly worst experience of my life. So it kind of ingrained me not to like travel.
What was so bad about going to India?
7-Elevens everywhere.
Wow.
Actually, all over the country. Garrett and I started playing a game. So in the States, the kids and I play a game of like spot the American flag when we're road tripping. No, but in Copenhagen and Stockholm, we played spot the 7-Elevens.
Go ahead, Rick.
The real quick story, because it was a 2-week trip. The real quick story is we went to go interview the Dalai Lama, and we were traveling with his nephew all through India, which is very, very dangerous. So we had guns pulled in on us 4 or 5 times. I literally thought I was going to get shot 3 times. So it ruined my trip. I had my wallet stolen in Russia, who has a layover in Russia.
Oh,
so
that would explain why you.
I will tell you that I felt very comfortable. Mm-hmm. I felt very comfortable. I felt very safe. I felt everything felt very clean.
Yeah.
Amsterdam's the only city that I was like, man, it's I mean, there's just shit floating in the canals. I mean, it was very dirty.
That and Hamburg was really the only city where I felt like they don't like Americans. The other cities I didn't necessarily get that vibe.
Well, no, Hamburg. Everybody on the streets ignores everybody. There's zero acknowledgement of humans. Everybody's very robotic and very. It doesn't feel. You don't feel very welcome.
Yeah.
You know, but we were only there for a little while. That was one of those that we went in.
Less than 24 hours.
We went in, and that was the worst show I had attendance wise. Great show for the fans that were there, but we didn't sell a lot of tickets. But Hamburg was definitely very cold, but I never felt in danger. I never felt my kids were in danger. I never felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't feel like there was a language barrier. Everybody spoke English.
Yeah.
Which is not the case in Mexico. When you're walking the streets, you always feel a little on edge, right? In Mexico, Mexico tends to feel a little more gritty and a little dirtier. There is a language barrier for my children, not for me. There is a language barrier for Renae, even though she understands. But in Europe, there was never a language barrier. Everybody seemed to speak English. Everything was clean. We felt safe from the minute we stepped off the plane to the minute we went back home. I mean, it was very comfortable, and it was very much like the United States. You know, it was very, other than the fact that you looked around and you said, okay, everything was, the streets are narrow, and these beautiful buildings from a million years ago are around me.
Yeah, the architecture, the castles, like, just,
you know. But other than that, Rick, I mean, it was very American.
I never felt like I was going to get mugged, ever.
No, I never had that feeling at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it was very comfortable. Now
that Rick says that, I also didn't see a lot of law enforcement. Did you?
Not a lot of cops that I saw. It was very comfortable. I mean, and like I said, everything was very clean. I did get into an argument with a cab driver. But what was really cool was the next cab driver, when I told him the story, he goes, "You should have reported him." He goes, "Around here, we don't allow that. And something like that could get him fired and should get him fired and reprimanded."
Yeah.
He goes, so I liked that he was like, "Wow, I can't believe that guy did that." And that if you reported it, it would be taken care of.
There's accountability.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was funny, Rick. We went to in Copenhagen. They have an amusement park that inspired Disney. Dude,
Tivoli Gardens, it's called.
I was so floored and also offended and mad all at the same time. Walt Disney stole everything from these fucking people. Everything that Walt Disney became and monetized and turned into $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
He stole, Rick.
It's called being inspired by.
That's what they said. It was the inspiration for.
Stolen. Yeah. I'm walking around this place going, holy shit.
Yeah. I'm not sure because we didn't do the research, but so, there's Mickey Mouse. Well, Tivoli Gardens has a bear, and I just thought it was really crazy that the bear's pants are red with white polka dots, which is basically like Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Their wardrobe, the same wardrobe. And I wonder, did Tivoli Gardens have that character as their sort of thing from the beginning?
I mean, I'm like, this motherfucker, like, stole the Little Mermaid, everything from this, people. So when I looked it up.
Oh, that's right. Because Hans Christian Andersen is from there too. Yeah.
When I looked it up, the reason is the copyright had expired.
Was it that it had expired, or was that it just never was copywritten?
Never copywritten, and was no longer available. There's got to be descendants of this guy.
Yeah.
That are not getting paid on things that he created that Disney stole. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is not even funny.
Yeah.
When everybody goes, you should see this amusement park, and I think you guys will enjoy it. It inspired Disney. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm in the place going, oh no, this didn't inspire him. He just stole it. The freaking Magic Mountain. I mean, everything. You're just like, fuck.
But it was it was beautiful. Not that Disney's not beautiful, but it was beautiful. It was like I think Garrett kept saying that was his favorite day. I think we went from doing 3 museums in one day to then doing a theme park. And I was glad we did that. It was a very pleasant theme park experience, but I think our kids also.
Yeah, they needed a day of, well, that's the other thing, Rick, is Europe is not a very good vacation for little kids.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. As adults, going to museums, seeing the history, enjoying the foods and the wines and the beers and the whiskeys and doing all that. What did they have for Garrett and Delilah?
I was just about to say, I think we did a good job of finding things for them too. Like, I think the museum day might have been a lot, but when we strolled and we explored an area, they'd get ice cream someplace and they loved that. They loved Tivoli Gardens. You didn't do London, but Delilah wanted, this was actually a really cool one. Delilah wanted like tea party. And I was like, there's no way Garrett's doing a tea party, but we're also in London. How do you not have afternoon tea? So we found, there's a science experiment tea, and they mixed their own lemonade, and their dessert was like fossils for dirt and chocolate dirt. And they dug out little fossils. What were the other experiments? The macaroons you like injected with stuff, and they brought dry ice. Like, it was really cool.
The point is that you had to get creative to give the kids something cool.
Yes, but that's like a lot of city vacations, right? That's how I feel like about New York City too.
Yeah,
like,
but again, you don't take kids. But again, there's a Legoland in New York City, or there's. In
London, there's a Legoland. We just didn't do it.
I'm not. Why are you arguing?
I'm saying yes. It is a different experience. I was like, I don't want to go to Legoland because we have a Legoland in the States. But yes, you do have to seek out things.
I think Garrett, at the age that he is, will someday look back and be like, man, that was really cool that I got to do that.
Yeah.
I think Delilah's still a little young where she can go, oh, I kind of remember going to Europe.
Yeah, how much I remember.
But for little kids, going to Europe is not an ideal vacation.
No. And that's certainly not the way we did it. Not at the speed and the pace we did it.
However, I could see it being a great vacation for husband and wife.
Yeah.
For a husband and wife to go, we're going to go to Europe and we're going to hang out for 10 days.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do whatever.
Yeah.
And see whatever.
I'm going to cry because, yes, that is probably the ideal way to do it. But as you're saying, I still kind of can't get over how amazing it is that your career allowed us, regardless of how crazy the schedule was, to take the kids and share that experience as a family. That was really fucking cool.
Every country and every city we went to, on the streets, I had people coming up to me going, what are you doing here? Oh my God, Steve Trevino. Oh my God, you're my favorite comedian. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, that people recognized you all the way around the globe. Yeah.
We're getting off the plane. We're in a group of a bunch of people, and they're like, oh my God, Steve Trevino's on our plane. I mean, it was really freaking cool to have this dream. And what's crazy is I always dream big, and I always, but my little world did not help. I didn't understand to go, man, I want to tour Europe. Like, that was never on my radar.
Yeah.
But I am very proud to say that we went over there. I was so happy to perform for everybody. Everybody was so nice and so generous and so welcoming. And we took pictures, and Garrett would laugh because he would sell merchandise. He goes, Dad, they're calling your bandanas scarves. They're like, oh, I'll take a scarf. Yeah. And Garrett's like, they're bandanas, lady. Yeah. But we do have to wrap this episode up. One question from Rick. What's your big question about Europe?
Dude,
he only gets one?
I literally have a list of questions. Next week we'll have to do them because I have a list of questions. I guess let's start with what material did you do?
I did the act. I did the act, and then like I said, I literally had to adjust on some things that just were not resonating.
But is it your current tour?
Yeah.
So okay, so when you were kind of extracting jokes, did you fill in anything from your old sets?
Nope.
Or you? Oh wow, okay.
You did Family Picture Day, right?
Well, Family Picture Day was really funny, but I also learned that they don't do that over there.
They don't do the Christmas card picture every year like us wives like to torture our husbands.
But they still thought it was funny, and they still enjoyed it, and they still knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Right. But other than that, I mean, changing material, I didn't have too much.
Did you do any local jokes?
Not really. I felt like I didn't have to. I was going crazy because every bottle of water, the cap does not come off. When you unscrew the cap, it stays connected to the top.
Yeah, you can't unscrew it. Is the thing. It kind of snaps on and off. It's more of a snap than a screw.
No, it's a screw, but it has a little thing that
just
connects.
Part way.
So I would always joke with that. I'm like, can we take these fucking things off?
Because you're trying to drink out of your cup, but you have this lid like hitting you in the nose as you're drinking.
But yes, we do have to go. I have to pick up my son at golf camp. But I think next episode, we just do all questions.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. So then if people are watching, when they watch this episode, send us your questions.
Yes, they can send questions.
Let's do that.
And we'll have an all questionnaire episode next week.
Because I can answer tips and tricks. We bought things. What was worth it? What did we actually use? What did we not use? We all went in carry-on size luggage. We each took a piece of carry-on luggage for the 10 days. Yeah, we could talk about. There's lots more we could talk about and answer questions.
Love you guys. SteveTrevino.com, Aztec Chevrolet, Coastal Bend Auto Group. Please, please, please give them a chance. Everything domestic they have, so they will match any price in the state of Texas. So please do that. Pick Cherries. Download the app. It's the best way to listen to podcasts.
Yes.
Rao Western Wear doing big things. Bigger things coming. Very excited about it. And of course, Old Salt Coffee, the most delicious coffee ever. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so very much. And we'll see you too, Europe. Thank you.